Okay, so this is the worksheet on how to identify a bedbug. It's from the City of New York, and it shows you the adult, the nymph, the immatures, and the eggs, and how to identify each life cycle. Goodness gracious. It also shows you the difference between a female bedbug, this drawing here, notice the rounded butt, versus a male bedbug, notice the pointy butt. Yeah, and if you turn it over, you'll see there are a bunch of references to websites that are reliable. And the first one is actually to Cornell University, which has some wonderful resources up on its website. It has a series of these booklets on how to control bedbugs, and they are very simple, mostly pictures, with very few words. There's a Spanish version of them as well. That's free. And they have this fabulous book up there, which is How to Get Bedbugs Out of Your Belongings. 68 pages on everything from your stereo to your underwear. What to do, what not to do. It's really, really excellent. Again, free download from Cornell. They also have guidelines on controlling bedbugs in homeless shelters and other group living facilities. Then the next two entries on here are Dr. Chang-Lu Wang at Rutgers and Dr. Denny Miller at Virginia Tech. These are two of the preeminent researchers in the field, and they actually do a lot of field testing. And so a lot of what I'm going to talk about tonight is based on their research. And Dr. Wang has a lot of great videos up on his website. Denny Miller has really excellent action plans and a lot of other information on her site. University of Minnesota has an excellent website. It has information about bedbugs in a bunch of languages other than English and Spanish as well. So if you're looking for information other than English or Spanish, Minnesota is probably your best place for it. There's the EPA site, some information about pesticides, and then StopPest.org does work with public housing, and they have a lot of really excellent resources that are available, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that later. And at the very bottom, there are a couple of web-based vendors. I do not endorse these people, as I said earlier. However, I've got them listed because they're both easy places to find a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. And but I warn you, you may find that stuff cheaper elsewhere. But they're a good place to start. Bedbug Central in particular is a very respected organization, even though they are a for-profit company. Okay, so here's the story about the bedbugs. This is the family portrait, although we don't have a female in this picture. See, we have our pointy butt male. But the female lays these eggs. Now, these eggs are really tiny. They're only 1 millimeter long, which is a 1/26 of an inch. And as you'll see in a later photo, they're about the size of the thread in on the mattress cover. And she likes to lay them in cracks and crevices that are 1/16 of an inch thick. That's the width of a credit card. Okay? So any place that I can put the credit card, that I can slide a credit card, is a place that a bedbug or a bedbug egg might be hiding. And this is an actual tool that we use. It's called Sweep Tool. And it's just a credit card that's cut in half, and you just put it in cracks and crevices and do a sweeping motion and hope that nothing comes out. Now, the other thing about these eggs, though, is that they are very sticky, and so they're hard to find and hard to get rid of. And they are also extremely resistant to pesticide. If I had a can of pesticide and go and spray all these bugs that are sitting right there. I'd probably kill all the bugs that are crawling around. I could create a pool of pesticide. Once it dries out, that egg is still gonna hatch. And this is common. Cockroach eggs, for instance, are also highly resistant to pesticide. But bed bugs are really special. They've developed a number of different ways to resist pesticides, and the survival of the eggs is one of the most important. Now, when that egg hatches, this little guy up here is going to come on out. And he's about the size of that egg, so a 26th of an inch long, basically about the size of a period at the end of a sentence. And before they feed, they're translucent, so they're really, really, really hard to see. Now, that guy has to have food and has to, is born hungry and has to have food and water. And what do bed bugs eat?
Blood.
You got to say it right. They eat our blood. They drink our blood. And that's the only thing they eat and drink. So that guy has to get a blood meal pretty quickly. Otherwise, like anything else, he's going to starve to death. I don't know how long that would take, probably not very long. We know that even in a lab, about 10% of these little guys don't make it. So in reality, it's probably a lot of these what are first stage nymphs probably don't survive. In order to survive, as I say, it has to get a blood meal. Once it gets a blood meal, then it can start to grow. And bugs, of course, have exoskeletons. They have their skeleton on the outside, which is like a suit of armor. And it makes it really hard to grow inside a suit of armor. So what they have to do is they have to split and shed that exoskeleton, and then the soft bits underneath expand rapidly and harden, and the bug grows a stage. And they do that incrementally. And so bed bugs go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages before finally becoming an adult. Only the adults are male or female. Nymphs don't have any sex. So these guys doesn't matter. As I say here, we've got a distinct male. So these eggs are going to take 6 to 10 days to hatch. And that's a very important number because you've got to check for new activity after 10 days. Because, as I said, these eggs are extremely survivable. So even after you treat, and you may have killed everything that you can see, but you're going to have to go back in another 10 days or 2 weeks and look again and see if there's any new activity. So one of the important reasons why bed bugs have spread has to do with their sex. And they don't do it the way that most other animals do. And usually bugs mount from the rear, but this guy is doing something really different. His apparatus, which in a bed bug is called a perimere, actually pokes a hole in her side. Pokes a hole in her abdomen. It's called traumatic insemination. It hurts. It can kill her, in fact, if she's mated too many times. So as soon as she's mated, which means she has all the sperm she needs to lay 200 to 400 eggs over the course of her life, as soon as she is mated, she books out of there looking for a place where there are no other males, where she can start laying her eggs and raising a colony in peace and quiet without getting poked all the time. One of the other things that happened early on is that people didn't understand about bed bugs, and they started using over-the-counter chemicals, things like Raid and other things like that, that simply are ineffective against bed bugs. And in fact, what they tend to do is cause the bugs to scatter. So if you pull back your sheets and realize that you've got a bunch of bed bugs on your mattress, one of the first things people will do is run and get the can of Raid or set off a fogger or something like that. And what happens then is that the bugs just scatter and hide. And so instead of having a nice, neat colony on the mattress that I could come in and vacuum and get rid of, now the bugs are hiding in cracks and crevices all over the place, and you have to hunt them down individually. It's much more work. We talked about the bugs hitchhiking. Used mattresses were an important source of spreading for a long time. Again, you pull back your sheets, realize you've got bed bugs on your mattress. One of the first things most people want to do is throw out the mattress.